Today we're making one of my favourite sweet treats. We're making vegan Speculaas cookies, which are also known as spiced Dutch cookies. These cookies are fragrant and rich and perfect for this time of the year. Your house will smell absolutely amazing. Now, I'm making the Dutch version, but there is other versions that you can find in different countries in Europe, like Belgium and Germany. But these ones I think that are my favorite. To start off with, we're gonna make a flax egg. So instead of using normal eggs, you can typically substitute a flax egg in your baking. So what I'm gonna do is I've already pre-ground my flax seeds, and I'm gonna use 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds. I'm using golden ones in this situation because the darker ones tend to make everything a little bit darker, so I went with the golden one. And then to that, we're going to add 2.5 tablespoons of water. Then we give it a good stir until it's well combined. Now we're just going to set that aside to thicken. Next we're going to cream the vegan butter and the coconut sugar. So to that we're going to add 1/2 cup of room temperature vegan butter and 3/4 cup of coconut sugar. Using a hand or stand mixer, we're just going to mix it for 1 to 2 minutes until it's creamy. This is what it should look like once it's whipped. Now to that we will add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and that flax egg that we made earlier. We just need to mix this now until it's well combined. So what you're going to be left with is a beautifully fluffy mix. We've just set that whipped cream butter aside. Now we've just got to sift the dry ingredients into a larger bowl. So we'll start off with 1.5 cups of plain white flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and then the spices go in. So we'll start off with 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon and 1/4 teaspoon of both nutmeg and cloves. And lastly, I've got 1/8 teaspoon of ginger, cardamom, aniseed, and white pepper. Now I'm just going to add that creamy butter mix to the dry ingredients, and we'll just gently stir that in. Once that's well incorporated, it's still going to be quite soft, but that's fine because we will be popping it in the fridge in a minute. But I just like to get my hands in there and just give it a good mix for about 30 seconds. So now we just have to wrap it in some parchment paper. If you have a cling wrap at home, you can use that instead, but I don't tend to use plastic in my house. So we're just gonna wrap that up and pop it in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Now that the dough is in the fridge, we just have to preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 355 Fahrenheit. So these have been sitting in the fridge for half an hour, but you can actually leave it in your fridge for up to a couple of days if you want a stronger spiced cookie. So that 30 minutes is a minimum time. So we'll just unwrap it. So it should be firm but still soft. And I'm going to use this parchment paper to line the baking tray that we're going to use later to put the cookies onto. And before we roll this out, we'll just flour the surface slightly. And I like like to flour my rolling pin as well. So now we'll just roll out that dough. And if you find that it's just a little bit too soft, just place it back in the fridge to firm up for another 15 to 20 minutes. So you've got to work very carefully with these because it is a slightly softer dough. You want to roll out the dough to about 3 to 6 millimeters. Just depends on how thick you want your cookie to be. Speculaas cookies are traditionally actually molded using a windmill wooden mold, which you can purchase online, but I didn't want to use those because most of you won't have, or I personally don't want to only use it one time a year when I make these cookies. So I've gone and found some different things around the house, and these are my favorites. So I like to use crystal vases. Now they're perfect for stamping, or if they have more of an even, you can roll it. And this is what you'll see the pattern on the website, the cookies that I've done there. So you want something that has a really strong pattern on it so that it imprints onto the cookie really well. And once it's baked, that imprint actually stays in the cookie. Otherwise, it'll kind of disappear as it bakes. So just make sure you find something that has a strong ingrained pattern on it. So today I'm going to make round cookies. So I'm just using this pattern on the bottom here. So I'm just going to stamp the dough with that pattern. We'll give it a little bit of a shake so that it goes down nicely. And I'm just going to repeat that process for the rest of the dough. So once you've stamped your dough, I'm actually going to use a glass that's about the same size as the imprint to cut the cookies. You can use a knife here as well, but I've found a glass that works just as well. So I'm just going to go around each one, pressing it down firmly and just giving it a little bit of a twist to separate the dough. So all of those little scraps that you get that is in between your molded cookies, we just need to roll that into a ball again and then roll it out and continue that process until you've used up all of the dough. Once your baking tray is full, just bake those for about 12 to 15 minutes. Now it depends if you want a crunchier biscuit, you leave it for the 15 minutes. If you wanted a slightly softer biscuit, then leave it for the 12. So we'll just let these cookies cool on the baking tray for a couple of minutes and then we'll transfer them to the wire rack to completely cool. And I'm just doing the second batch now. And sometimes it can be easier for you to just use your hands to pick them up. So just see what works better for you. Now these cookies have now cooled completely and they're ready to eat. Your house will be smelling like Christmas with all of those beautiful warming spices. These biscuits also make a wonderful gift, so just pop them into a jar and seal them well and they'll keep for up to a week. If you love this video, please give it a thumbs up. It always means a lot when you do. If you want to try this recipe, you can find it over at theminimalistvegan.com, which we'll link to in the description below. Until next time, happy cooking. Traditionally, these cookies are shaped in the shape